Welcome to First Class Counselors, where we give camp counselors insider tips and advice on how to make a camper's summer the best it can be.
Because if you are a newbie to the camp world or you've been around the campfire a couple times, self improvement and a growth mindset is what we do here at camp. And we want to teach you some cool tricks, some cool tips, and we want it to be a great time. And that's why you're here for First Class Counselors.
And my name is Oliver Gregan. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the executive director at Camp Winona YMCA in DeLeon Springs, Florida.
My name is Matt Wilfrid, pronouns he, him. I'm the director of overnight programs for Campfire Circle. We're an organization that brings the summer camp experience to kids and families affected by pediatric cancer.
All right. And what are we talking about today? Well, let's see. It's episode 60. So let's stay on the theme of 60. So 60 seconds. And my question is, do you need a minute? Yeah, we talk a lot about filler games, which is what you might be expecting. But what about short, quick ways to play a game or to make a moment, a yeah moment? We are talking 60 seconds or less to play a game or add an element to make your moments the moments. So we're also going to make this show a little gimmicky as well. So prepare for a little bit of campiness. But as we go through, each time we explain a game, Matt and I are only going to have 60 seconds on the clock to explain the rules of the game and to provide an example. And as you know from listening to our podcast before, Matt and I can be a little long-winded. So this is also a way for us to keep ourselves in check. So we'll keep the timers and we'll do our best.
Yeah, I've got my stopwatch locked and loaded. I think the whole point of this, you've heard us say this before on the podcast, is that you, as a camp counselor, have this awesome opportunity to inject every single moment of camp with a little bit of fun and magic. And like Oliver said, it can just be a walk to the next activity, or it can be this really exciting thing. And we've talked about a lot of these things, but I think these are, looking back in our show notes, these might be some new tools for you. Or if you're new to the show, go back and check out. We did one called Terrific Transitions. We'll put the link to these in the show notes. Terrific transitions, 5 ways to intentionally fill 5 minutes. And we've talked about back pocket games and things like that throughout the entire podcast so far. But these are the snippets of some of our go-tos, things that we have done with kids that have just amplified a moment that would normally just be mundane. We want to make it extraordinary. So these are our best tips. And I am nervous about being on the clock, to be honest.
All right. Well, I am going to put you on the clock first. So you're up.
Okay.
To show everyone how it's done.
Okay. I got my stopwatch here in front of me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The first game is called Rock, Paper, Scissors, Splits. I believe Michelle Cummings came up with it, and I'll put a link in the show notes to it in case I breeze through it. I've already used 10 seconds. This is awful. Okay, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Splits. You and a partner stand face to face with your front foot directly behind your back foot and the front of your feet and your partner's feet touching. They're touching together, and you simply play a game of rock, paper, scissors. The winner takes their front foot and puts it directly behind their back foot, so that with their toe touching their heel, and then the loser of that round has to stretch their front foot to reach the new front of their partners. So you end up doing the splits a little bit, and you keep playing until someone falls over or has to use a hand to balance themselves. And it's really great because you can be on a winning streak and get really far back, and then it suddenly changes, and the losing person, the person who wins, all of a sudden has a big advantage. And that's 60 seconds, rock, paper, scissors, splits.
There you go. Time. All right. I've played the same game before, and I think it's a great one. We do it our rule is though we add an element to it called entourage. So if you lose, you now become the world's biggest fan, which
Right.
I know Matt has talked about that game before. The world's biggest fan for the person that you lost to, and then you cheer it on. Eventually, you have that last person. So I think that's a great game. Definitely played it before. It's a wonderful way to warm up kids when they first arrive at camp. Matt, is there anything else that you would want to add before I get my 60 seconds on the clock?
Just check the show notes. I'll put a link in there for the game. No, I'm good. I'm going to time you, Oliver.
All right. So while Matt was talking, I also just randomly have a little app off to the side of my computer, and it is the random word wheel. And it has picked 6 random words, and with 60 seconds, I would have to make a story with those 6 random words. So I have tree, buy, cow, tool, bell, and sugar. And those words all have to come into my story. So I know I'm running really quickly on time here. So one time I had to tell a story about how I had to tell stories about all these different words. And I was sitting underneath this tree. And while I was sitting underneath this tree, an apple fell down and it hit my head. And I was like, oh, sugar. I really, really need to figure out a way to create a tool that will stop things from hitting me on the head. So all of a sudden, bells went off in my head, and I thought, oh, I need to start wearing a helmet. And that's all 6 words. And hopefully, I did it in under 60 seconds and explained the game.
There you go. Nice.
All
Well,
right.
Oliver, and you could just get words for that game from anywhere, right? It doesn't have to be from like a wheel. You just inspiration around camp.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like you can even ask the group of kids. You can say like, "All right, it's Matt's turn. Everyone huddle up. Let's find 6 words." You get the 6 words and you can
Oh,
give it up
fun.
to them. Or you can even have everyone write down say 5 or 6 random words on a little note card, and the note cards will all go into like a hat, and someone picks 6 random words of the hat, and then they got to tell that story. And you can add more elements to it. Like you can do round 1 is tell a story, but you like say record it, or you get the basic gist of the story. Round 2 is they have to act it out. Round 3 is you add props to it. You
Hmm.
can build upon it as you go. And then all of a sudden, you can have a group of kids who has a 60-second story/play that they can do in front of everybody.
Nice.
Yeah. I got it done in 60 seconds, but there's
You
always more
did.
to
Oh,
add.
you
You can
rocked
always
it. That was
level it
that
up.
was it was a beautiful thing.
This is going to be our fastest episode. This is going to, I don't. All right, but because we're already moving on to topic 2, Matt, what do you have for a 60-second game for topic 2?
Okay, ready, set, go. This game is very simple. It won't take me 60 seconds. It's called Add 'em Up. And Add 'em Up is a classic game. A bunch of Jim Cain, Michael Brandwine, a bunch of facilitators teach this one. Essentially, you and a partner or in a group of 3 put your hands behind your back, and on the count of 3, you reveal between 0 and 10 fingers. Including 0 and 10. And the winner of the game is the first person to add up the sum, so the total fingers that are showing in the middle. So if I held up 2 and Oliver held up 4, the first person to say 6 would be the winner. And you can amplify this game. You could go like multiplication. You could try like subtraction from one person to the other, get into negative numbers. There's definitely ways that you can amp it up, but very simply, it's a quick game. You can use it to help determine like partners and which one goes to group A, group B. Very versatile, very quick, takes very little explanation. That's 60 seconds. Boom.
Boom. I like it. Yeah. No, Add 'em Up is a great little game. I've definitely played it a lot. And it's one of those ones you can pull in when you like are feeling time a little bit, but also you catch kids later just playing it on their own. And
Yep.
that's what's a lot of fun is it's such a simple game. It's so enjoyable for the kids that it's not a game that just has to be instructor oriented. It doesn't have to have someone there coaching and doing it all the time. Eventually kids can learn it and pull it off on their own. And it's one of those popular ones during camp that all of a sudden you start seeing like little crowds of kids during like free time just kind of playing.
Hmm.
All right. All right, here's mine. All right. I don't know how I can do an example for this one though. But maybe we can figure it out. All right, ready, set, go. All right, my next one is called 60-second shifts. So really easy. You pick task, like a big task, like building a shelter or drawing a really cool picture or building a fire. That's something that like really a team would work on. But now instead of getting everyone working at once, you have everyone kind of standing behind the line, and then they go one person at a time to work on whatever activity or thing that might be. So, one person might run out, they get like 2 or 3 sticks to build a fire. Then the next person goes out and they get tinder because the first person forgot. And they work together, and you say, hey, look, we have an hour to build a fire, but you each only get 60 seconds at a time to work on it. And you can add other things into it, like maybe everyone's blindfolded or they're turned around, they can't see what someone's doing before them. So when they turn around, they still have to deal with that initial shock of like, oh, that's what they got done. This is what I need to get done. And you can add it into so many different activities. Don't hold back with just fire building and shelter building. Figure out different ways to do it. That's my 60 seconds.
Nice. Yeah, I love that technique is also really good for things like cleaning your cabin, right? Or doing cabin duties or things like that. Just keeps it really exciting. We used to, cleaning the bathroom was always the joke that it was the worst. Cleaning the bathroom is not the worst duty you can do at camp, but we would do it sometimes like we were scuba divers, and you only had like a 60-second oxygen supply. So you had to go into the bathroom, do your task. You got to monitor, make sure the tasks are done properly. You don't want them to be like rushing through something, but it is kind of fun, keeps it dynamic, and makes yeah, it keeps it from getting stale for sure. That's a good one.
All right. Yeah, we are moving pretty quick tonight, aren't we? All right. Moving on to our next one. Matt, what do you have for your third 60-second game improvement, whatever we want to call it?
Yes. Okay, ready? Here we go. Three, two, one, go. The game is called Celebrities. You might know this one by different names, called the Bowl Game or anything like that. But essentially, the way that it works is you and the group that you are playing with, everyone gets four little pieces of paper and they write down the name of a celebrity. Usually, my friends and my rule is that it's no one that we know as a group of people. So we're not talking about individual people in it, but it can be like Tony the Tiger, Barack Obama, Tiger Woods. It could be anybody, anyone that like the group generally would know. You try not to make it tricky. And then the way that it's played is you split into two teams. All the names on a piece of paper go into a bowl, and then each team has 60 seconds at a time. There's your 60 seconds to pull out a piece of paper and describe it to the group. The first round is like catchphrase, where you can use anything but the name. The second round, all the names go back in the bowl. The second one is charades, and the third one you only get one word. The team who gets the most wins at the end of the game.
All right, not bad. I got you at 1 second over.
Okay,
But
I'll
take
make it up on my
61.
next one.
All right. Yeah, you don't get 59 next time. All right. My number 3 is going to be. Let me hit reset on my clock. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's called Living DJ or Living Jukebox. Many people may have played this game, but it's one of my favorite. Essentially, start off by giving out 4 words because you're going to be doing 4 rounds. And the words can be something like love, road, baby, truck. Really common words that you might see in music. And then the competing cabins will get a few minutes to write down as many songs as they can remember and maybe even sing that contains those words. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start doing rounds where you say the round is the love round, and you're going to point at a cabin and they have to start to sing that song or a song that they have on their list that contains the word love in order to stay in. If they can't come up and they can't sing it, then they're out. It's kind of like the riff off from Pitch Perfect. And then you continue doing this. You can do all 4 rounds. Whoever can stay alive the longest is the winning team. I also have done this with like things like they could make up a poem or something. It doesn't have to be music. Some kids are not musically inclined, but it's a great way, and they only get 60 seconds on the clock to come up with something or they fail.
Oh yeah, good work, Oliver. Love that. We would sometimes call that like that's a little bit based on the game's categories too. I mean, you're using words to prompt the songs, but you can do that for so many different things. I also love all of your Florida is showing a little bit that your words were love, road, baby, and truck. There's a lot of I feel like the country western. There's a lot of songs in there that'll fit it.
Hey, look, I go with the music that my kids know the most, but you know what? The worst part is I sit there and they start singing country songs, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm more of an indie kind of guy. I get that soft music is my kind of thing.
No
But yeah,
disrespect to country. It's four chords and the truth, baby. But those are love, road, baby, and truck. I think you've got yourself a good genre in country.
yeah, you can just do what is it? Country home, yeah, or country roads take me home to, yeah. Hey, Justin Bieber,
That's really
babe,
funny. I'm sure
babe,
there's
babe,
love, there's
no,
road. I don't know if there's truck. No, trucker caught a trucker down in Philly. Wow,
yeah,
there you go. Boom.
yeah. It's a classic camp song. All right, I'm gonna reset my clock. Matt, you're up. It's the last final round. Maybe we do a bonus round if we could do it on the spot.
Okay.
But let's see. You are gonna take your last one off in 3, 2, 1.
This is another partner game. It's a cooperative one. a bunch of people, again, Jim Cain, I don't know, a bunch of people have claimed this one, but barn door open, barn door closed is how I know it. Essentially, you and your partner you pick three animals as the facilitator. You say, okay, we're doing the Canadian caribou, and there's an action and a sound. So the action might be your hands on your head making antlers. You could pick the Penelope the penguin. There's a different action for that, and baby pterodactyl. Sometimes those are my three. And you and your partner stand facing each other, and you count 1, 2, 3. And after 3, you pick one of the three animals. The goal is you and your partner are trying to pick the same one without any pre-planning, and you want to be the first partnership to get 8 of them right together. And the fun thing about this one is that you can get the kids to pick animals too, and actions and sounds, and then it's a little more collaborative that way.
Time. Nice job. Whew. That clock, it's scary. You get going and all of a sudden you realize you're running out real fast. I think like the first like 15 to 20 seconds, you don't even realize how quick it goes by. And then all of a sudden you're just trying to fit as much as you can. I think we're doing a good job though. I think you can get the premise of every game we're talking about in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. Let me reset the clock for me. This is Matt, this is a hard one. I don't know if I can get this in the 60 seconds. I'll do my best. Whew. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. This game is called 60-second missions. You're going to get note cards, and on each note card, you're going to write down 60 simple tasks. Maybe 100 push-ups, deliver a love note to the nurse, make something clean, perform a scene from your favorite Oscar movie. The cabin gets a card at a time, and every single time they get a card, 60 seconds is on the clock. They have to complete the task to get the point. They fail, they don't get the point. You have prizes that are set up every 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 tasks. And make sure that like 50 to 60 is something incredible, like take out pizza and ice cream for the win. And the game can be played all at once. So all 60 cards go at once. You can give them a timeout. So maybe they do 10 cards in a round, then they use a timeout, then they come back to it and they do 20 cards and they use a timeout and they try to, figure out where they're at as they go along. Or finally, you can have them do it over and over again. So they can do all 60 and then try again and see what range they can get in and try to improve their score as they go. Woo! I can't believe I got that in 60 seconds.
That was like 53 seconds. That was really good. Good work.
I think the adrenaline just started pumping.
Yeah, you can do those. They have like I think High Five makes a set of cards that have those kind of missions on them. But yeah, super easy. You could just take a deck of cards and throw a bunch of like tape or just print them off on cardstock in a printer. Yeah, super good one.
Yeah, I love it too because it can be both like a special thing that you're doing just for your kids, just for your cabin, but also I've seen it work as like an evening program before. So you can get all of camp doing all 60 things. And like when we've done that in the past, we'll have like we'll make our own tasks, and then the tasks are something that like all of camp might need to complete, or maybe one cabin has to complete, and it's just about who draws the card and when they draw it. And the fun part about it is the kids have no idea what the task is until they draw it. And I love that. It's this anticipation of what do we have to handle next? And then you have this big old timer that's counting down as soon as they pull the card. The adrenaline on camp is crazy. It's hard to keep everyone contained.
Yeah, some of my favorites are the ones where you have to involve like everyone in the room. So you have to like try to convince everyone to like be quiet for 10 seconds or to sit down or do like 10 jumping jacks, and you get kids like figuring out different ways to gain influence, and there's definitely things to like talk about after an activity like that, and the power of working together. Everything's debriefable.
Oh, for sure. Wow. Okay. Probably our fastest podcast that we've ever done, because that's all of our games in 60 seconds each, as fast as we can go. The gimmick works. We worked really quickly. But while we wrap up really fast, let's talk about, again, why are these 60-second games so important, and what do they really offer to us as instructors, as counselors, and as camp people? So Matt, what are some things that you think are really important? Just your final note for the show.
Well, they call a lot of these things back pocket games for a reason, right? And I think every great camp staff member should have their list. The ones that they've actually thought about and can literally pull out of their back pocket whenever is needed. I can't tell you how many times, even like in my organization now, someone has said, "Hey Matt, can you lead a game for these 100 people that are just standing around doing nothing?" I'm like, "Okay, here we go," because I've got these things, and I've practiced them too. You just have to read some books. There's lots out there. Jim Cain's Find Something to Do book has been one of like the most influential little game books, and it's tiny but it's really powerful, because finding a way to make something fun, like I said, is what we do. We take the mundane every day and we make it extraordinary. We make it something memorable. And Oliver's right. You never know the influence of a game that you're going to start. And, I like Oliver, I have seen rock paper scissors splits. We just did it as like a time filler one day, and it turned into a full on camp wide tournament the week after, because the staff really liked it, and they wanted to do it, and that was kind of what we did, and we had a rock paper scissors splits championship. So you never know the power of taking those small moments and making them awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine like your tournament, even leading up to it, you have people who are stretching, getting ready for the big day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right.
you
You could
gotta wear the
take
right you gotta wear the right pants. It's not a jeans friendly game.
no for sure. Gonna end up with like a ripped pants, you know. And I can even imagine, I can imagine it kind of like a comedy. Like if you can imagine it on like one of those Disney TV shows that covered like camping, like Bunked or Bug Juice, then it's gonna be good. It's gonna be
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I think my takeaway from this is, you know, this topic is about 60 seconds to use in order to improve things that are going on, whether it's a 60-second game or a 60-second round, whatever it
Mm.
might be. But that aspect of time that really can improve maybe something that's going on. Like if I think through like my 4 topics, right? My 60-second stories is something that you can do right there really quickly. But then if you go all the way down to the 60-second missions, now you have an entire evening program.
Hmm.
Like how you can take even something so small and make it so big, I think is absolutely incredible. And
Hmm.
you're taking that and you're raising the bar, because you could look at half of these things that we talked about tonight, take away that aspect of 60 seconds, and um, it's no longer the adrenaline rush that I think it sometimes is, um, or um, or even the ones that don't have to do with time, right? the those those games like we just talked about with Split can be taken and made into a giant huge group game tournament, right?
Yeah.
The small stuff can be big stuff at camp, and I think that's sometimes what makes camp so special, is when something that was so tiny in the first place and you thought really nothing of it, it can all of
Hmm.
a sudden be this huge part of camp and in a kid's camp experience. And you have to imagine what it's like for that kid to get in a car and explain to their parent on the way home, like, oh no, we played rock paper scissors like every day. No, no,
Yeah,
mom, it
yeah,
was different. Like
yeah.
you had to like do a split while it was
Yeah.
happening, and mom's just wondering, wait, I thought I sent you to camp to do like archery and canoeing, and the only thing you want to talk about is rock paper scissors.
Yeah. Those are my favorite
You know?
emails to get as a camp director. Like, what did you do? What did they do all week? And then you get to tell the fun story about what they actually did.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that I'll mention is with I think it's about using 60 seconds to have an impact in some way, and it's not just about having fun. I think Oliver, in the intro you mentioned, we do talk a lot about games here, but something we also talk about is the impact that we can have on a camper's day or week, or maybe even longer. And taking 60 seconds just to recognize a kid for something awesome that they've accomplished, or 60 seconds to ask them how they're doing, or 60 seconds to say like, hey, I think you'd be a great camp staff member someday, or 60 seconds to be like, hey, I see you're working on this ukulele chord, can I help you with it? And those 60 seconds, whether it be 60 seconds or a longer conversation, you never know how much that's going to mean to a kid, and even a fellow staff member, that 60 seconds in the staff lounge for you to put down your phone and just engage with somebody who looks like they need it, you never know how much that matters. So whether it's 60 minutes or it becomes a full 60 or 60-second and it becomes a full 60-minute conversation, and I think don't waste those opportunities to help recognize someone and make someone's day better as well.
Yeah, I mean, you even kind of say it, 60 seconds, 60 minutes. But who knows? You could talk to that kid and say, "Hey, look, you could be a really good counselor one day." And all of a sudden, it becomes into a 60-year career.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, but I think you really do hit that nail on the head. There's a thing that I do say pretty often to my staff, and kind of live by myself, and it's a small one. It's not like a life mission, but it's like if it takes a minute, do it. If it takes
Mhm.
just a minute, if the task is that simple, and it would take 1 minute to walk over and pick up a piece of trash, or it takes 1 minute to make sure you clean up your area before you leave, or it takes 1 minute to, like you were saying, go and make an impact.
Yeah.
Take the minute. It's way more important to take that minute than it is to miss out on that opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the quickest show First Class Counselors has probably ever done. So with that being said, we can't end it yet. We need to add a little bit more time. Let's get that E.G.E.L in, our ever growing, ever learning, a trick, a tip, a game, a song for counselors to use to be better every day. My thing for you is bug bite prevention. What do you do to either stop it, or once it happens, what you do? So a couple of different things. Obviously, there's bug sprays. I recently taught about bug stickers, bug repellent stickers, and
Hmm.
I have always seen the bracelets, but then I just got these stickers, and my staff have been wearing them. They really love them, and they're great to give to kids as well. They get really excited to get the sticker, and it keeps the bugs off them, keeps the mosquitoes away. Um, and then if you're good with it, you can use Afterbite. It's a great little medical um, topical gel or topical cream you can put on top of a mosquito bite. You might know the age old put an X in it. You take your like thumbnail and you push down hard, and then you cross it over. You make a little X, helps get rid of it for a half a minute. And then finally, something that I recently learned about that honestly, somebody told me about this, and that's where the inspiration came from. But it looks like a syringe, but essentially you put it onto a bug bite, and it suctions the bug bite venom out of your like bug bite. You like put it on and go, and I have not used it yet, but my friend has recommended it. She swears by it. She says it's one of the best things that she's used in order to get rid of bug bites. I know Matt's giving me this face of like, wait, this exists, and it does. It's a real thing. And she says it works really well. I trust her. She's probably had a few bug bites in her life too. So that's my couple of things for bug bites. And the one thing that I will always say: if you get bit by a bug and it itches, don't scratch it. Don't try and rip the bed bug off, or not the bed bug, the bug bite off your skin. No matter how much it might itch,
Yeah.
try to stop.
And then definitely don't put Afterbite on it after you've itched it. There is no worse pain than Afterbite on an
Yeah,
open mosquito bite.
yeah.
I had to Google this. You said syringe. There's no needle on it out there, folks.
Yeah,
So
there's no
no.
needle. It
um,
looks like one. It looks like a turkey baster thing.
okay.
I don't know how to describe it.
Oliver's gonna find the right one and make sure it goes in the show notes, because if you were as
Will
skeptical
do.
as I was, then it's probably good to good to find that one. I'll do my E.G.E.L in the meantime while you're looking it up, Oliver. Mine is tubular webbing and a book, and I've mentioned Jim Cain's name a bunch of times in this podcast, and he's an amazing team builder, great camp programmer and author, and him and a fellow wrote a book about raccoon circles, they're called, and essentially these are just circles of tubular webbing, and they're like 3.5 meters ish, tied into a circle with a specific knot so it doesn't fall apart. It's 15 feet or 4.5 meters ish. And when you have that tool with you, not only is it super strong, like it's climbing webbing, rock climbers use it, but it is also just a tool that can be used for so many different games and team building activities. And a lot of these like 60-second things you can totally do with them. I'll give you one and I'll keep it under 60 seconds, I promise. Essentially, you have this piece of webbing and there's a knot tied in the middle of it. Everyone stands in a circle and it's called race car. Everyone puts their hands on the webbing and the goal is to shuffle the webbing around so the knot passes all the way around the circle as fast as possible. That's it. You can do it. You can have like two groups go against each other and do like one lap clockwise, then one lap counterclockwise if you want to amp it up. But it's a nice little team building thing where you can say, okay, how can we do it faster? Let's think creatively about this. And it's a good one. So I will post a link to where you can find tubular webbing in Canada and the US, and a link to the book Raccoon Circles.
And for Matt and for everybody else, I have found the bug bite thing suction tool available at Walmart for $9.95 here in the States, and you can take a look at it in the show notes. But yeah, Raccoon Circles, I feel like that's one of the most basic things that you can learn as far as props that go into team building. So if you are a counselor and you didn't know what it was, that's totally okay because we're learners here. But go figure out about it and put that in your arsenal because you will lean on it a lot as you go throughout your career for sure.
I literally don't go anywhere. If I'm doing any kind of camp programming, it's in the bottom of my backpack, because it's just what I can pull out on a moment's notice, and I've got this really cool thing that I can do.
Yeah, I usually will use a retired climbing rope, and then I put I think it's a fisherman's knot in it, and then I can adjust it as I need, and that helps.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to raccoons. It's pretty close to the tubular webbing that a lot of people use, and I like it too because I'll have like a giant 30 feet across raccoon circle.
Yeah.
But then other times I can condense it down to like a 5 foot one, like really
Right.
small. But yeah, they're amazing as far as your team building, and it's very helpful. Okay, cool. So if you did enjoy today's show, we would be so happy and grateful if you left us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. Your ratings and reviews not only tell us what you like and don't like about the show, but it helps boost our rankings and helps more people discover what we're doing here.
Seriously, leaving us a review is super helpful. The other thing that you can do is just recommend our podcast to a friend. Just tell people about it. Tell another camp staff member about it and say, hey, I listened to this show. I've got some cool things from it. Here's an episode that I really liked. That's the best way that you can support our show. Reviews definitely help, but sharing it with a friend is the best you can do. And just don't forget that you can check out the show notes at gocamp.pro/FCC. You'll find our show notes, and you can find more about all the other Go Camp Pro podcasts at gocamp.pro/podcast.
All right. Thanks for listening, friends. Remember, camp is camp, and camp's all good.